Harry Truman was born on May 8th in 1884 in Lamar, Missouri. He was the oldest of three children and had a younger brother and sister. At the age of 8, he started to wear glasses. His parents didn't want him to break his glasses, so he had to avoid rough play, and by the age of 14, he had read every book in the Independence Library and the Bible 3 times. Truman tried to go to West Point, but they wouldn't accept him because of his poor eyesight. So instead, he took over his family's farmhouse for 12 years. In World War I, he went to France as a captain in the field artillery. After the war, he married his childhood sweetheart, Elizabeth Virginia Wallace, and opened up a haberdashery in Kansas City, which soon closed due to the post-war depression. Harry and Elizabeth had a daughter named Mary who was born in 1924. Truman was very active in the Democratic Party. He was elected a judge of the Jackson County Court in 1922 and became senator in 1934. Truman headed the Senate's War Investigation Committee during World War II. This committee checked the waste and corruption and saved as much as $15 billion. He became vice president in 1944. He was only vice president for about 82 days before President Franklin Roosevelt died in 1945. Truman then became the 33rd President of the United States. When he became president, he told reporters, "I felt like the moon, the stars, and all the planets had fallen on me." As soon as he became president, he had the heavy burden of guiding his country through war. He didn't have a lot of knowledge about the war when he was first inaugurated president, so if he made one mistake, the war may not have ended as soon as it did. One of his greatest impacts was in foreign policy. According to npg.si.edu, his commitment to containing the post-war spread of the communist influence in the world set a pattern of American diplomacy that prevailed for many decades. Another big achievement was the defeat of the communist takeovers in Greece and Turkey and the Soviet Union's effort to push the West out of Berlin. When the war against Japan was in its final stage, Japan rejected an urgent plea to surrender, so Truman ordered atomic bombs to be dropped on cities dedicated to war work soon after Japan surrendered. He also started to develop his own policies. Truman proposed the expansion of Social Security, a full employment program, a Permanent Fair Employment Practices Act, and public housing and slum clearance. He wrote that the program symbolizes for me my assumption of the office of president in my own right. This program was known as the Fair Deal. In 1947, the Soviet Union pressured Turkey and, using guerrillas, threatened to take over Greece. Harry Truman asked Congress to aid the two countries, which declared the program called the Truman Doctrine. There was also the Marshall Plan, which stimulated amazing economic recovery in war-torn Western Europe. Truman also made a huge airlift to supply Berlin in 1948 because the Russians had blockaded Berlin. At the same time, he was negotiating military alliance to protect Western nations, which was called the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Harry Truman retired at the age of 88 and died on December 26, 1972.